Hi, friends. Welcome to Holly's Highlights, a podcast designed to encourage, inspire, and equip you to intentionally live your life full of purpose. I'm your host, Holly Kirby, motivational speaker, leadership cultivator, marketing strategist, and personal cheerleader. Let's check out today's highlight. This episode is brought to you by Jerry May Travel. Do you love cruising, or are you inspired by our recent episode on Holly's Highlights podcast on cruising, or perhaps getting ready to be inspired by this one, and now you're ready to look into cruising, but you still have no idea where to start? Well, either way, Jerry May Travel is ready to help you book and plan your dream sailing. She has worked with plenty of first-time sailors and plenty of confident cruisers too. With so many cruise lines, departure ports, and various itineraries, it can be invaluable to have someone who's willing to listen to your needs and help you navigate those choices. Jerry is a passionate travel advisor affiliated with Travel with the Magic, who books all cruise lines as well as Disney destinations and Universal Orlando. You'll love working with an experienced agent who cares about her clients. You can reach Jerry by email at Jerry, Jeri, at travelwiththemagic.com or by phone at 1-800-670-4312, extension 147. And you can even view testimonials from her clients on her website. Now, all of that information will be in our show notes, so feel free to check that out. But definitely reach out to Jerry May Travel for all of your booking travel needs. Welcome back. Hopefully you joined us for the last episode, season 4, episode 5, as we discussed why cruise, the benefits of not only going on a vacation, but different offerings on cruises and the benefits per cruise line. We also talked about how to book that cruise. Is it going to be directly with the cruise line or by yourself using a third party or warehouse or using an agent or agency? Where to go? That destination question, right? So many different options, but then also the season involved with them. What cruise line, and from there, what cruise ship? We kind of walked through some differences as to what are on the different ships. So what will be best for those going on, what attracts them. And then where to actually book your cabin as to the location on the ship. Well, this is your bonus episode, otherwise known as part 2 regarding cruising. Now, as a reminder, although I graduated with my travel and tourism certificate and have many certifications from most of the major cruise lines, so Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Princess, Disney. I was also a cruise specialist selling hundreds and hundreds of cruises for 10 years. Again, these are my personal opinions from my personal experiences. Again, cruising on 12 cruises on Celebrity and Royal Caribbean and Carnival and Princess and Disney and Norwegian. So make sure when investing in your trip to do your research. Things can change, so policies, offerings, you name it. But hopefully this will help you in preparing for that first cruise or cruising again. Now, today we're going to pick up where we left off, and that is what is included and what should you add. Now, in your cruise fare, that is going to include pretty much all your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we'll talk about specialty restaurants, which are not typically a part of this. We'll talk about that later. But your meals are going to be in maybe around the pool, or they're going to be the main dining room. There's going to be several options of where to get meals, but just know all your meals will be included. Also, the ports that you're going to go visit. So the transportation, obviously, on the ship to get to those ports. And then the entertainment and, of course, your cabin where you're going to be staying. All of that is going to be included in your cruise fare. But separately from that is going to be your taxes and port fees. Now, these aren't included in the cabin fare. It's added to your total pricing when you're booking. And these aren't optional either. Now, taxes mainly go to the port of embarkation, so where you're leaving from. But sometimes they can also go to the country that the ship you're on is actually registered or what flag is flying. And then, of course, the ports that you're going to visit get a cut. Now, keep in mind that these can change. And the reason for that, now this is probably going to be more info than what you need or want, but port fees come from the number of passengers and the size or the tonnage of the ship. Then it's basically equally divided, so that's why everyone is going to be paying the same amount for the port fees no matter what. But some ports just charge more. So port fees aren't going to be the same on every ship. So what that means is a ship going to Alaska is definitely going to be higher port fees than, let's say, if you're going to the Caribbean. Now, something to be aware of in this case though is with the port fees is although they can change up or down. So if a port increases the cost of their port dues, you are going to feel that a little bit. And again, I don't think I've ever had that happen on the 12 cruises I've been on. But on the other hand, let's say that weather is bad or a port becomes unsafe to go to. Well, if the ship doesn't end up stopping there, then you may see a refund from those port charges that you were charged for that port. So again, it's not going to be much, but either way, if they are increased or if you get a refund, just know that port fees can change, but it's not going to be anything drastic, but something to be aware of. Now, as to what to add, definitely add gratuities. In fact, I would say mainly 4 things to add. And the number one thing would be adding gratuities. Now, it used to be that you would pay in cash at the very end of your cruise, whatever length of cruise that you were going on. You'd get envelopes in your cabin the night prior to your last night. And then they'd even provide a suggested amount per person that you tip each level of server. And what I mean by that is like a cabin steward, waiter, assistant waiter, your maitre d', so forth. But people would spend, people being people, they would spend all their money and then they wouldn't have anything left to tip with, or they choose not to tip because that price tag is hitting them right after they've spent everything at all the ports. It was horrible. Well, now most ships will automatically charge each day on the ship. So for example, $14 per day per person. That's pretty typical. And they'll just add it to your credit card on file at the end of the cruise. But if you opt to have those gratuities prepaid, then you know up front your price of the trip you're going to be getting ready to go on. And so there aren't going to be these surprises for you or for your credit card. Again, you're going to pay them either way, but just including them as prepaid or the pre-gratuities prepaid, it's just going to be able to give you a well-rounded number as to what you're actually paying to go on this vacation. Another thing I would definitely add, that second thing, is going to be vacation protection. Now, I know everyone either has a love or a hate relationship with vacation protection. If I am going on just a trip, taking a plane and I'm going to go on my girls' trip with my sister, I'm not going to get vacation protection. But going on a cruise is a totally different story because you have a lot that's going into that overall trip cost, right? So I always suggest adding vacation protection. I've never taken a cruise. Actually, I take that back. I've taken one cruise without it, and that's when we learned we would never take a cruise without it. That's fun, not fun story, but just kind of a point to be made is we were going to Puerto Rico as a family to embark from Puerto Rico. So the ship was leaving from Puerto Rico, and it was on an airline that isn't in existence anymore. It was horrible that the planes were having such a hard time even getting us there, that when we did get to Puerto Rico, we had missed the ship sailing date. Like the whole time that you were supposed to board by, we had totally missed it, but we weren't alone. There were a lot of other people that happened to be on this airline. Again, it went out of business. So kind of tells you a lot there, but we were so fortunate that the cruise ship waited. Like literally we're getting there at like 1 a.m. in the morning and people are hanging off the balconies, clapping for us. Some are yelling and some are using choice words. But anyhow, they waited for us. That is not typical, friends. So with vacation protection, if there were any travel delays, your vacation protection helps get you to that first port, wherever you can catch up with the ship. Again, we were so fortunate. And so from there, we always had vacation protection after that. I also had a friend who had a cruise booked and last minute they couldn't go to an emergency and they lost everything. Like there was nothing they could get back because it was the night prior to the cruise that the emergency happened. So again, health coverage, now with COVID, baggage delays, all the travel delays that we've experienced lately. I mean, the list goes on and on. Do yourself a favor. It is not that much. It's like $150 to $250 per person. Again, depending on what type of vacation protection you get, what cruise line and so forth. It is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it. Third thing I would suggest adding is things like pre-booking excursions and specialty dining. And as we discussed last episode, season 4, episode 5, even spa treatments, especially for those dress up nights, if you want to have your hair done, those are going to book up fast. Or sea days, if you're wanting a massage or that pedicure or whatever else you might want to get from there, those are going to go so quickly. So most likely it will be too late to add those unless they have cancellations once you get onto the ship. So just make sure you pre-book those also. Now, sometimes you can even get, and this is where I would say that fourth thing to add is sometimes you can get discounts if you pre-add your drink packages or photo packages, arcade packages, Wi-Fi, any of those. If you prepay those, you can sometimes get a discount. Now, we're prepping for our summer vacation on a cruise. I'm so excited. And so I saved money by pre-buying soda packages and arcade packages for the kids. And then I was able to give them to the kids as part of their Christmas present. And I even used them as incentives for grades. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. Now, depending on when you book your cruise, various cruise lines may have deals going on that are really going to benefit you. So this could be kids sell free, percentage off first and the second cruise fares, onboard ship credit, free packages like specialty dining, Wi-Fi, excursions even. So those can be really helpful and save a lot of money if you can get some of those packages that they offer. Also keep in mind, most cruise lines have a loyalty program. So for each time you sail on that cruise line, you earn points, which eventually may come in handy for things like early access to boarding. Or when we went on our third Disney cruise, we had a nice beach bag waiting in our room for us. And my dad, well, he's been on so many Royal Caribbean cruises, so shout out for Royal Caribbean, that he gets so many drink vouchers each day for his virgin pina coladas that he likes to get. So once you book your cruise, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and join their complimentary loyalty program too. It really can help you in the long run. Now, when booking your cruise, you'll need to choose a dining time. Many cruises are moving to more of this thing called the My Time dining plan, where it's basically like going to a restaurant. You show up when you want, and if there isn't a wait, you're seated. And if there is a wait, you wait until tables open up. But cruises have operated in the past, and many still do, on early or late dining time. Now, our family used to always go for the late dining time, which is typically around about 7:30 or so we could have more time in ports. Kind of keep that in mind. If you do the second dining time, you tend to have more time in ports. Otherwise, you feel like you have to get back and shower and get all ready, or more time to just get back and prep for dinner, especially if you have kids. You might want to have them down for a little nap or let them play around in the room first before you head to dinner where they have to sit. So kind of keep that in mind on that second dining time. And then many ships still have a dress up night. So depending on how many nights you're going on, let's say under 6 nights, it tends to be 1 night is dress up, or over 6, sometimes 7 nights is often 2 dress up nights. And the older I get now, I have really enjoyed the early dining. So after the show, I'm able to go to dinner early and then go to the show afterwards. And then I'm able to go and crash in bed. And I know I'm such an early bird now on cruise ships. Before I would do like the 1, 2 a.m. type thing. And now I'm just like, yeah, I'm good about 10 or 11 to just go back to my room. But something that may factor in for choosing that early or late dining for you may depend on the cruise line and your needs, such as like Disney. Disney, during one of the dining, they'll come and pick up the kids from the dining room. So you can stay and enjoy your long dinner. And you still have that time with the dinner with the kids, but then you don't have to excuse yourself to go take the kids up and drop them off at the kids club or whatever. They'll actually come down and pick them up for you. So it was totally convenient when we did our Disney cruise. I was so thankful for that. So again, this really comes down to personal preference. Early dining or late dining. Now, same goes with the table size. You might want to request a table just for the size of your party, or if you're feeling a little social, then request a larger table and just kind of, make some new friends. On my honeymoon cruise, we actually requested a larger table of 8 as we just wanted to meet other people. And it just happened to be that we ended up sitting at the guest of honor table. And so we were able to be with the cruise entertainers, and we were even with the captain one night. So that was really neat. Now, if you're traveling with larger groups, you may have to divide up into multiple tables. So keep in mind, they can only accommodate so many. However, with that said, our family is very tight and therefore pretty adamant about all sitting together. So we've been on a cruise before where they actually custom made a table. This is Royal Caribbean. Again, shout out to Royal Caribbean, but they custom made a tabletop for us. But they did that so that we could all sit together at this round table. And it was so awesome. So appreciative of that. Now, if when you get on board, you have an issue with your table or even your dining time, let's say you get there and you requested a table of 8 because you have 8 in your party and it's only for a table of 6, or maybe you asked for early dining time and they have you down for late or whatever, the ships will typically have a time frame that first day where you can go and meet with them and work out the issues. And again, they want to aim to please, so they really be kind. They have a lot of people they have to work with, but just be cautious about going in and kind of, grunting about it. They're more than happy to work with you. They just need to know about it and then just be a little patient. Maybe that first night doesn't work out, but by the second night, they'll have it all under control for you. Now, when I mentioned specialty dining, most of the newer ships now have specialty dining. So that's what the special restaurants are referred to. And they might have like those that cook in front of you, the teppanyaki type, or they might focus on something like a steakhouse or Italian dining or whimsical food. But these are specialty dining places that tend to cost and require reservations. Now, costs are typically $25 to $75 per person. So that can really vary on what you're going to drop going to one of these places. And it still includes pretty much everything there then on that, whatever your meal is going to be. You don't have to necessarily pay additional after that. But depending on what cruise line and or ship you're on and what dining places you're looking at, just be prepared for a cost of being associated with that. Now, specialty dining may be appealing if you're celebrating an anniversary or a honeymoon. When specialty dining first came out, my former husband and I did the fine dining restaurant for a really special and just that extra dressed up night. So on another cruise, they had a 50s diner. And if you know me, that is my era. I think I was supposed to be born in. So me and the kids ate there and we loved it. And it had, I think, like a $5 cover charge type thing per person. My brother loves chips and salsa. So on another cruise, all of us adults met up at one of the specialty dining places for my brother to enjoy all the different types of salsa they offered. And I could go on and on all the things offered, but this is not a must on any cruise, right? It's not a must, but it's an option and one of total personal preference. So you can have all your meals included and be just fine at the regular dining places. But just know these are optional places to eat and often come with that cost per person. Now, most cruise ships do have room service. And unlike back in the day when our family would have a cousin sleepover all in one room, AKA mine, they would order one of everything on the menu and then they'd all taste it all and share it because it was free. But not so much anymore. Many ships have gotten wise and either charge per delivery to your room or some even per item or certain items that are delivered to your room. So again, room service is an option, but just know in most cases, it's not free anymore. So might want to have a conversation with the kids on what they can and can't order or do while you're on your trip. Now let's talk excursions. First off, keep in mind you are spending money to go to this once-in-a-lifetime destination. Enjoy it. I am such a frugal person, but when it comes to cruising, I figure no regrets. So when we were in Hawaii, I went ahead and splurged for that helicopter island tour, as well as went surfing and did a luau. Give yourself permission to experience the culture. Make those memories. However, we need to live responsibly too, right? We come home and we do still have bills to pay. I tend to phrase it to myself, yes, this dollar amount seems a lot, but it would cost a whole lot more to come back here just to do this. So again, live within your means, but keep in mind you're on a very special trip when you're on a cruise. With that said, don't feel the pressure to even have excursions booked if excursions just aren't your thing. When we've been to St. Martin and St. Thomas, people rave about snorkeling and deep sea fishing excursions. But for us, those are just not our cup of tea, and especially in those ports, because those ports are fabulous shopping ports. So my family will share with you how simply sitting on the beach in St. Martin was one of our favorite ports ever. And that wasn't an excursion. That didn't cost us anything. Also, if you're from California and have an opportunity to sail all the time, like going out on a sailboat, then doing an excursion of sailing or being on a sailboat in the Bahamas might not be a big deal as you get to do it back home all the time. Or it may be a passion of yours and you want to sail every chance you get and you want to say that you've been able to sail in Bermuda. So I have thought, if I get to go to Alaska, let's say I want a dog sled, right? Well, when looking at the excursions, the dog sledding wasn't on snow. It's on wheeled carts on a dirt path. However, I live in Utah, and so I looked up dog sledding here just to see, do we have such a thing? And sure enough, there's actually dog sledding in Utah on the snow. And even with drivers who have been on the famous, what is it called? Iditarod. I hope I pronounced that right. So anyhow, it makes much more sense for us to just dog sled in our own backyard for a more authentic experience than going and doing it on the dirt there. So again, just kind of looking at what excursion suits you. And then also you might find you have a perfect excursion there in your own home. Now, research each port before you go and the suggested things to do, the safe ways to get around, places to avoid. Again, research. A word of caution here, okay? Like, totally pay attention here for a moment. If you get nothing else from today, book excursions through the cruise line only, okay? Warning. Yes, you may have more options and you may pay a lower price once you get into the port if you book there, right as you're docking, as you get off right there at the pier or something. But what you might not understand is if anything happens, let's say a flat tire that delays you getting back to the cruise ship on time, the cruise ship may not wait. Most likely it will not wait for you. Whereas when you book through the cruise line for your excursion, they guarantee that if anything happens that causes a delay, you don't have to worry about it, right? They're going to get you back on the ship, whether it be getting you back right away or getting you to the next port, again, depending on what your issue was. Cruise lines also, they just know when an excursion has become unsafe, so they'll cancel them. And that could be, they might cancel for your sailing date. We had that happen before. We were on our way to the port and they announced they were canceling our excursion, that they had found out about some pirates that were taking place out near that excursion and they canceled it out of safety for us. Or perhaps they'll cancel working with a certain vendor altogether. That's happened to my sister and her husband and family before, where they had an excursion all booked up and then the time came to go on the cruise and they found out it was getting canceled because they had canceled working with that vendor, because the vendor, they were getting reports that the vendor wasn't safe. So again, the cruise lines scout out all of these excursions and they are there to help you, right? They're not there just to jack up the prices. They're going to help you. And so booking excursions through the cruise line gives you that peace of mind that, again, better safe than sorry. So there's my little tidbit on that. Now, when I was sharing with my kids about doing an episode on cruising, they started reminiscing of their cruise memories. My kids have been so grateful to have been on 2 Royal Caribbean, 1 Carnival, 1 Princess, 1 Disney, and 1 Norwegian cruise. So 6 total for each of my kids. And as we were recently trying to figure out where to go for our summer vacation this year, and because we just all have that thirst for cruising so much, that we decided this year, with my daughter becoming a junior in high school, and my son going into his last year in junior high, that we are going to splurge and go on my son's dream vacation. When my mom was diagnosed with glioblastoma brain cancer 3 years ago, my daughter got to go on her dream vacation with my brother and sister-in-law to New York. So I thought, you know what, let's do something for my son. Let's do his dream vacation, which is an Alaskan cruise. So we are so excited. But between some mega sales that were going on and then lots of frequent flyer miles. Now, again, this would be a huge plug for American Express's Delta Sky Miles credit card. You've heard me talk about them time and time again, but check out the show notes for the link. So if you choose to sign up, then that can really give you, well, if you mention me from the links, it'll give both of us benefits, but then you'll be able to take advantage of those benefits for, us travel lovers. It really does help. And again, if you follow my social media, I'm a huge Delta Sky Miles card advocate. Anyhow, we were able to get free and even upgraded flights using that card. Again, cruises can have such a negative perception of being really expensive, but they can actually be less expensive than even a road trip if you plan them right. So, that timing and getting those deals and choosing the destination and ship and caching miles you have and all that fun stuff. So anyhow, we are stoked. So when I was sharing with my son about these episodes and he was listening to the last one, he asked if he could come on and share his favorite excursion excursions that he's had, and even favorite things to do on the cruise line. So anyhow, without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Peyton. Hey, Bubs.
What's up?
Thanks for coming on with me.
You're welcome.
Now, share with us, what was one of your favorite excursions we've done on our cruises?
Mine would have to be Dunn's River Falls.
Oh, absolutely. What he's referring to was the climbing Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica. Tell us a little bit about it. What did we do?
So we climbed the big waterfall, and me and my cousins jumped in there before we climbed up.
Yeah.
It was just really fun.
So at first on this one, it can be kind of weird because you have to hold hands with like everyone that's going up. So even if you don't know them or not. So we, of course we put the kids in between us adults just to make them feel more comfortable. But you make this gigantic rope, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
With all of our hands. And that's how you work as a team. So great teamwork example there of getting up this huge waterfall. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That was a good one. How about one of your favorite things to do while we're on the cruise?
My favorite thing to do on this cruise is going to be the arcade and just memories.
Yeah, we love making memories together, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, playing in the arcade is fun too. He's actually one that received an arcade pass, right?
Yes.
For your grades. Yeah. Good job. Now, what are you most looking forward to about Alaska, your dream vacation?
That's hard. Well, mostly just kind of like I said earlier, making memories because one is my dream cruise and I'm going with my family and hanging out.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Thanks, buddy. I'll add to that some of my favorite excursions. I absolutely agree with him on the climbing Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica. I've done this multiple times, and it just feels like you're experiencing the backcountry part of the country. It feels kind of risky. So I loved that adventure of it too. And it's just fun and a sense of accomplishment together. Like I said, it's a great example of teamwork for sure. Another would be a helicopter ride in Kauai. Now, there are helicopter rides in many ports, right? But doing one in Alaska and then landing on a glacier, I think would be pretty cool. But this one I love, just flying over the Grand Canyons of, I think that's kind of what it's referred to, the Grand Canyons of Kauai, and seeing where Jurassic Park was filmed and where Jungle Cruise had just been finishing up. They even still had some of the cast trailers up that were kind of cool. I also really loved parasailing in Haiti. And now you can do a dry land where you leave and land from the boat, or even a dip where you dip down and tap the water with your feet, just kind of get a little bit of sprinkle on you, or even a wet landing where you take off from the boat but land in the water. My kids and I were able to do this together, and it was such a fun memory. So I really enjoyed parasailing. Swimming with the dolphins would be another one. So kind of those would be, I think, my top 4, but we did that in Atlantis. Now I've done it several times. We did it in Anguilla also, and I can't remember the other place, but the experience in Atlantis was in the ocean versus just tanks like Anguilla. So it just seemed so natural, something like in a movie. And that's one thing with your excursions is there might be the same excursion offered, like parasailing or swimming with dolphins or whatever. But if you research your different ports, you might find the adventure of it might be something a little more tailored to your liking at a certain port. And I think that's a perfect example, the swimming with the dolphins, in the tank versus being able to swim out in the ocean with them. It was just more exhilarating, I guess, I would say. So checking in on your excursions that way and making sure you're choosing the right port for the excursion that you want to do. Now, some tips and tricks. Okay, this is where you might want to jot down some notes or, pull up your voice recorder on your phone for a moment so you can go back and listen to it, or even just chapter this to where you know where to go back in the podcast episode. But number 1, starting off with traveling with kids, take some plastic baggies with you, so little Ziplocs with you. And when you're at breakfast, perhaps fill some of those baggies with cereal or orange slices and grapes, something that you can basically pack away when you're in port or even lounging by the pool so that you have snacks handy for your little ones. Very convenient. Another thing, no matter what age of kids you have or however many people or the dynamics of the people going on the cruise, I suggest walkie-talkies. This can help you stay connected. Now, Disney used to offer these on their cruises. I'm not sure if they still do, but this really helps. A little caveat here, though, is just have etiquette with them, right? So many people go on cruises to get away from, the hustle and bustle and the noise of cell phones and distractions of all that type of stuff. So just have etiquette with these walkie-talkies. No one wants to be lounging by the pool and hear the click or static of the walkie constantly, right? So really just have the etiquette to use them to stay in touch. as it's needed. Another thing is lanyards for your card, as you need to keep it with you at all times. So it's actually your key that you're going to get to your cabin, your boarding pass, your payment for shopping, because ships do not accept cash for the most part on cruises. It's all done pretty much by this card. Well, anyhow, all of those are going to be put, like I said, on a card. Your key to the cabin, your boarding pass, your payment for shopping on board. This would include like getting drinks anywhere on the ship. Now, Disney, they offer a bracelet, which is really cool. I'm kind of surprised some of the other ones don't just yet. But Disney offers a bracelet that you wear the whole time, and it does all of that for you. So you don't have to worry about a lanyard. But any of the other cruises, just to take a lanyard with you, you'll be prepared. Now, this can even be a fairly inexpensive souvenir. If you just want to budget for everyone to get a lanyard, like either on the ship, maybe that's your souvenir there, or in the port of embarkation, so the state that you're at as you're getting ready to leave, or maybe in a port itself that you visit. Anyhow, make sure to have a lanyard. Pack some hangers. Now, pack some hangers in the bottom of your suitcase. That will save space in your suitcase. But if you want to hang up all your clothes and you have multiple people in your room, they do not give you nearly as many hangers as you need in the cruise rooms, in the cabins. So if you just pack some extra hangers, that will be very helpful to all of you. Also, if you take like a little whiteboard to write messages on, now this can help in two different ways. If you're traveling as a group, put that on the front door so that you can let each other know when and where to meet. Or if you're traveling just your one cabin, keep it in the room to be able to communicate to each other your comings and goings, where you're at. We actually even did both, where we put one on the door. So as we tend to travel as a huge herd, so all of our family, then we can write on there messages to each other, kind of like, hey, cousins are meeting at 6:00, or something like that. But then inside, we could internally communicate with whoever was in the cabin, like, hey, does anyone know where my shoes went for tonight's formal? Things like that. So anyhow, whiteboard's really helpful. And then do fun magnets or something to decorate your door with. It makes it so much easier for your family to locate each other's cabins, but it's also just fun to see what people are celebrating. So something so simple. When we were celebrating my parents' 50th, my sister did a fun photo from their wedding and had them made as magnets, and we had on there, congratulations on 50 years. And we put it on everyone, our family's doors. And so again, it was what we were celebrating. It was fun, but then also we knew it made it especially easy for the kids to find family members' doors. Now that might seem kind of weird. Like you might be concerned about people messing with magnets or messing with your whiteboard, but people are really respectful on the cruises with things like that. And so we've never had anything tampered with. And we do that. Like I said, I've been on 12 cruises and we've probably done that for 8 of them at least. Now, if you're needing to pack a play crib or strollers, let's say, now Disney is amazing about offering such amenities that you can reserve. But even on other cruise lines, if they don't have access to renting or loaning them, they'll have a third-party contact where you can pre-arrange to have such items delivered to your cabin, and they'll just be there awaiting your arrival. And this can ease up so much of your packing burdens. So again, if you're needing something for your kids, make sure to get on that cruise line that you're booking, or that could even determine what cruise line you book on. Because like I said, Disney provides them. You just have to request it. Whereas other ones, you would have to arrange for a third party to drop it off. And in that case, they have it in your room typically when you show up, which is really convenient. If you're traveling with teens or even all adults in your room, where people could be coming and going from your room at various times, so even late into the evening, having flashlights can come in so handy. Even taking some command hooks, and that way you can hang the flashlight on the wall next to the door. So as they come in late at night, they can easily grab it there. That's very helpful. This way, just when the teen is coming in late from a late night gathering with their teen group, they're able to make their way back to their bunk, which is typically when you have 3 or 4 in a room, you tend to have pull down bunks from the ceiling. It just makes it easier for them to get back to their bed safely. We even use glow-in-the-dark necklaces or even bracelets, any of those type of things. And that way we don't activate them until night, but it just provides that fun glow while out and about in the evening that the kids love, but then it doubles as a flashlight when we're coming and going, later in the evening, and we're not wanting to wake everyone who might have gone to bed a little bit earlier. So another thing is pack a beach bag. If you're going to be doing a tropical trip, something that you can easily make your tote to go to the beach each time so you can head off into your ports easily is very helpful. Even if you're not doing a beach port, but let's say you're going into, I don't know, you're doing a Mediterranean and you're not going to be doing beaches, well, you might want to have just a bag dedicated as your port bag, and it has the stuff you would need for in port, right? So it's easily accessible, it's always ready, and you're not having to deal with your suitcase all the time. We like to, once we get there, unpack and put those suitcases in the closet and not deal with them again. So having just a bag to be able to go into ports, or a beach bag for the beach, is just very convenient. Also, having a money belt for traveling. This is very helpful too. This way you can keep your towels, your water bottle, whatever you need while in port in your bag, but then your money can be close and safe while you're shopping, or again, while you're at the beach. Now, some final things to know. I know this has been so much, but hopefully this is helpful to you. But some final things we're going to count down on and doing is check to see what your cruise requirements are. So do you need a passport? Do you have to be vaccinated or have boosters? And requirements can vary depending on where you're flying in from too. So keep that in mind. Something might say no vaccinations needed unless flying into your port to catch your cruise from out of the US. Okay. So kind of keep things like that in mind. And all of that is available on the cruise line's website that you're going on. And then what do you have to carry your stuff when you're boarding the ship, right? As much as the cruise lines would love to get all suitcases to all passengers and do so fast, some just kind of take an alternative route. And we have had the case where luggage is lost, or maybe it doesn't arrive within the first 24 hours that we're there. So just in case, have just a carry-on bag when you're going onto the ship, and have some key things in it, right? Pack an extra outfit. So just in case your suitcase doesn't arrive that first night, pack an extra outfit. Now, it's not like it's not made it onto the ship. It's just keep in mind how many people are on the ship. They're trying to get your every bag to its place. Also, your toiletries need to be in there. And then, of course, any medications and anything that you would need within the next 24 hours or so. Have all of that in your carry-on. Also, because it does take time for cruise lines to get luggage to all guests, pack your swimsuit so that you can go, once you're on the ship, you can go and lounge by the pool until your luggage arrives in your room. Even bag a large Ziploc bag. So if your cabin isn't ready when you're done with the pool, you can change into that extra set of clothes in your carry-on and yet keep the rest of your stuff from getting soaked by putting that wet bathing suit in a large Ziploc bag to then put on your carry-on and get to your cabin when you can. If you're traveling in a large group, like how our family would travel in, 4 to 5 cabins, or at one point we had 6 to 7 cabins the year that my brother-in-law's family went with us, but perhaps consider making the Christmas before your cruise a cruise theme. We've done that leading up to our Disney cruise. We set a price limit, and it had to be something for the cruise that you gave as a gift. So like I gave character boxers for all the guys, and I did scrapbooking pages for my mom and character clothes for the kids. And it just made it so much fun as we had a themed Christmas of Disney because we were going on a Disney cruise. We've also done that for Easter, where me and my sister and my brother will do the Easter basket for the kids, whatever theme of the cruise, things that they would need for the cruise that we're going to be going on. So again, just a lot of fun, birthday gifts, things like that. We also have done one where we had a special cruise item. So one year we had where all of the guys had matching bow ties, and then we did matching bracelets for all the girls. So really have fun with the fact that you're going on a cruise, tie it into more things leading up to the cruise than just the cruise itself. And then if you're celebrating something special on the cruise, most cruise lines sell cabin decorations where you can pre-purchase them online, and they'll have your cabin all decorated when you arrive. Some even have a special cake in it. So we did this for my parents' 50th anniversary, and I did this for my kids for their first cruise. But of course, you could always pack your own decorations and just put them up when the kids are in the program, or just having that ability to pre-buy them can just have it all ready for you and just make it a lot of fun. Now, those decoration kits typically come with like a banner, a magnet, and then sometimes even like a photo holder or something like that in the room. But again, you could even take dry erase markers to write fun things on the mirrors, for a celebration. So just make sure not to cause any damage. That could make for a costly cruise. But there are fun things that you can do to save some money there also if you didn't want to buy one of the pre-decoration packages. But just know those are available. It makes it super easy. Also, if you have food allergies or special needs like a CPAP machine, you'll want to reach out to the cruise line. Each cruise line should provide the contact info on their kind of Q&A part of their website. But truly, cruise ships are amazing at accommodating for all sorts of needs. So just communicate them that, whatever allergies or CPAP needs, things like that, communicate it to your cruise line before going on the cruise. Don't just show up and expect for them to be all ready for you. I mean, again, many of them will, but they like to have a good month or so in advance. Typically at time of paying off your cruise is when they like to make sure they have all of that information. Now, as you can tell, there's so much we can talk about when preparing for a cruise, and I didn't even cover it all, right? We could go on and on with exploring dining etiquette and what to expect and what to wear and what to pack and how to pack and more tips and tricks like how to create a changing area in your cabin if you needed it or whatever. I literally could talk forever about cruising. But for time's sake, I'll just refer you to whatever cruise line that you do decide to go on. Visit their website and see what suggestions they may have for you there. Check out a book on your destinations at the library or order one online. Ask friends or family, who've been on cruises, what suggestions they might have. Even listen to other podcasts that may focus on your cruise line. I think, for example, Royal Caribbean, I think actually has their own podcast, or there's podcasts on traveling to Hawaii or, things like that, or Alaska. I've even listened to some in preparation for our cruise for Alaska. Whatever it is, check there and I'm sure you can find something. And then of course, a great reason to get an agent is to be able to use them as a resource. They know what they're talking about in most cases. And definitely the fabulous sponsor we have, our travel agent sponsor, Jerry May Travel, she would be honored to assist you. And she's been on many cruises, very familiar with all of this, that she would be a great resource to reach out to. And again, another reason why I personally love booking through a travel agent. So again, reach out to Jerry May and I'm sure she'd be able to help you. She can even check on those requirements we mentioned earlier too, like do you need a passport and vaccines and boosters and all of that fun stuff. So as the saying goes, we could all use a little more vitamin C. So enjoy the process of booking, the journey of looking forward to your cruise. And then, of course, may it just be a good day for a good day on your cruise and the many memories made to enjoy for a lifetime afterward. I would love to hear about your favorite cruise line, the ships you've been on, or perhaps even your bucket list of places to go. For me, mine is the Mediterranean and Paris and Rome and the Greek Isles. Those are just a few on my list for sure, ones I hope to explore one day while cruising the seas. But you can connect with me on Facebook at Holly's Highlights or Instagram at Holly Kirby. And of course, if you know of someone who could benefit from listening to this and even the previous episode on Holly's Highlights, season 4, episode 5 was that one, regarding choosing their ship and destination and cabin, all that type of stuff, I would be so grateful if you would just share the episodes with them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until then, happy sailing, my friend. Thank you for joining me on this journey of life. I hope that today's highlight has been encouraging, inspiring, and equipping so you can go out and live your life full of purpose. I'd be honored if you'd take a moment to leave a review, or better yet, subscribe. We can also stay in touch by joining my email list at hollycurby.com. That's HOLLYCURBY.com. Until next time, make it a great day for a great day.